everybody, Rachel Ray here. In every class for our very first cooking camp together, we're gonna cook together, not just us, but a lot of my friends. You guys are gonna learn so many great techniques. You're gonna have so much fun, and at the end, you get to eat and share it with all the people you love. And you know what I love? Everything we're doing together is gonna benefit the Boys and Girls Club of America and a brand new scholarship project. So we're doing well for others while we're making great food and doing well for ourselves and the people that we love. Thank you to all of our sponsors for making this possible. Game on, let's turn up the heat.
Welcome to Rachel Ray's Yummo Cooking Camp. Campers, how about a big round of clapping spatulas for Camp Director Rachel Ray?
Campers, today you're gonna go Hoboken style because we got the boss, Buddy Valastro, Cake Boss. Man, does he know everything about kids, baking, all things cool. And if you like sweets, there's nothing sweeter than rolling deep Hoboken style with the boss. Thank you for doing this, Buddy. You're my buddy and I love you.
Love you, Rach.
All right, before we get to Buddy, hold on a second. Let's go, hustle up. Some of those campers taking a little time to get into the cabin. We got a really, really wonderful guest that's gonna be with us today, and he's one of the nicest guys in the business. So everyone, please welcome the one, the only, the boss of cakes, the cake boss himself, Buddy Valastro. Buddy, what do you say? Welcome to camp.
Hey, what's going on? How you guys doing?
We're good, man. It's so good to see you. We know you're in Jersey City there inside of your bakery. We know so much that goes on there. We're really, really lucky to have you. Our campers are psyched. Thousands are online. Tell us what we're going to be doing today.
Well, first off, I just want to thank you guys for having me, and thank you, Rachel, for putting this together. This is just so amazing. And I want to thank all you campers out there, because who doesn't like to bake? I think baking is, and again, I love to cook too, but baking is just a little bit different. I think that at the end, and you can make a visual masterpiece, you get a sense of satisfaction. That it's the reason why I became a baker, right? You know, I would go to work with my dad, and when I really started getting into the cake decorating, the artistic portion of it, you know, you would make a cake. And when I make a cake, I put my heart, my soul, my everything into this. And the room goes quiet. You forget about your problems. You don't hear nothing. You don't see nothing. And then you finish this creation that you've given everything you got to. And you step back and you look at this masterpiece. And you get that feeling of wow, that feeling of self-worth. And that's really the reason why I became a baker. So I want all you junior bakers out there, all you cake bosses in training, to feel the same way and do the same way. And I think it starts with dreaming big. And I think that, Randy, like for me, I get along with kids because I'm like a big kid myself. I love to play pranks. And I love to create things. You know, when I start thinking of things, the way my cake creative processes, it's almost like going through a scene of Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory. And I can see these visions of mechanics and how things are gonna actually, you know, become to life with cake, right? You know, over the years, right? I remember in the beginning of Cake Boss, like we started to really push the envelope. I'm like, well, how do you make a cake shoot fire? Or how do you make a cake spin? Or how do you make a cake jump? Or how do you make a cake move? You know, and it's just always taking it to the next level. And I don't attribute that to me being a successful baker. I attribute that to me being a big kid, like you guys at home, dreaming that you can do anything, right? And making it happen. So I think it's really, really important that when you're baking or when you're doing anything in this world, you have to, number one, believe in yourself, and you have to do it with all your heart. You have to work hard. I work hard still every single day, and I think that that's when you achieve the best results. So with that being said, I want to talk a little bit about, again, to Randy's point, listen to mom and dad about touching the oven or touching a knife and doing things like that, because we always want to be safe in in camp here. I mean, I kind of learned from the old school Randy. My dad says, once you burn yourself once, you're not going to stick your hand in the oven again, but that's not what we're doing here. That's not happening. So I want to start with something that's a little real. I got to give it up. It's really innovative, and it's pretty cool because it's what we're calling microwave baking, which you don't always necessarily think that you could bake in the microwave, but you can, right? And I have this cookie dough recipe here, which again, I'm just going to kind of read through the ingredients, the steps in how to make it happen. And it comes with a perfect little microwavable little dish here. And the funny thing about whether you're making a cookie dough recipe, whether you're making your mix from scratch, whether you take a box mix, it's all about how you could intensify and add things on, right? So can I add a little bit of raspberry jam into my cake batter to make it a raspberry cake? And the answer is yes. Can you swirl a little Nutella inside, because who doesn't like Nutella? It's all about what you want to do, whether it's in the baking sense. You could throw in some sprinkles or sequins or chocolate chips, and then they can bake into the sponge. And then when the cake is cool, and again, the cardinal rule, or the thing that my wife and kids never or always make the same mistake, they do not wait for the cake to cool down before they put the icing on it. If you put icing on hot cake, guess what, Randy? It's going to melt. So you got to do it that way. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to preheat my microwave. I'm sorry. So cook it high for 1 minute and 30 seconds. Man, that's pretty good. So I'm going to mix my oil and water in a medium bowl until it's blended. So I got this. I got to put one baggie of this guy in there. And again, I love to bake at home with my kids. It's a lot of fun. My wife doesn't really like it, Randy, because she's like, why don't you just bake in the bakery and you make the mess there? Because, when I bake, I make a mess at home. So usually she quarantines me to the bakery to do most of my baking there. All right. So now we got and then we're going to add to this 2 tablespoons of water and 2 tablespoons of oil. I mean, is that easy or what?
That is
Don't get easy in that. All right, so you go. I always like to pour it off the side, right? Because if it falls on the table, it's okay. If it falls inside the mix, that means you're going to get more water than you intended. So you always, whenever you're measuring, measure off to the side of the bowl. Okay, so we got 2 of these guys. You get some Earl over here, little vegetable Earl. We're going to go here.
You can always add more, but it's hard to take it out once it falls in there.
That's right. And again, the difference between baking and cooking, baking is a little bit more of a science, right? So, you can't just say, oh, if I put a little extra baking powder, it's going to be okay. It don't work that way. If you put a little extra salt or a little extra pepper in your food, it's different. But with baking, it's a science, and you really have to make it work. So now I'm just going to kind of stir this together and make a dough. It's funny because I didn't think it was going to make as much of a dough as it did, but it's working. So here, I don't know if you guys could see.
Yeah, we see it now. Yeah.
So we're making a little bit of a cookie dough. Funny story. I remember about like 5 years ago, my son will kill me now because now he's going to be 16 and he's cool, So, but when he was little, he loved chocolate chip cookies, and truth be told, they would want to bake at home. So they would bake at home. They would be at the supermarket with my wife, and they would make her buy like the Pillsbury cookie dough, you know, like the sleeves of dough. I know, I'm the cake boss, and they can have cookies anytime they want, right? Because we make them at the bakeries, but the kids wanted to do it themselves. So my son's like, Dad, you're the cake boss. The hell, we can't make cookies? And I said, you know what, son? I said, you're right. I says, we're going to make cookies. And I brought home a cookie recipe from the bakery. Now, again, when you make a 340-quart bowl of cookie dough versus a 5-quart mixer, the recipe is a little, you know, when the recipe calls for 250 pounds of butter and you have to add a stick, it's hard to kind of get the ratio to be right. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
But what we wind up doing was me and him for a month straight, every single day, we went and we made cookies. And then we were in the search for the most outrageous chocolate chip cookies. And what we did was, the trick with chocolate chip cookies is the amount of chocolate chips to batter, right? Mm-hmm. And then the other trick is the amount of salt content. Because if you do not put enough salt in the mixture, the salt actually in cooking brings out flavors. So if you're doing an all butter cookie recipe and you eat it and you're like, you know, I don't really taste the butter. If you add a little bit more salt to it, you could. And after 2 months and maybe 10 pounds on my diet, we finally came up with the perfect recipe. So now we have this, it's saying here, cook 1 minute and 30 seconds in the microwave until it's nice and soft. All right, so I'm gonna go to the microwave now, okay?
All right, and buddy, while you do that, I think what we're gonna do is we are gonna welcome a special pop-in guest who's also gonna share a little technique on decorating. Her name is Molly Yeh. She's a cookbook author, a blogger, and she's host of Food Network's Girl Meets Farm. Let's give it together a big round of applause. Say hello to our friend, Molly Yeh. Molly?
Hey, Molly.
Hey everybody, I'm Molly Yeh, and I hope you're having an awesome day at summer camp. I am gonna show you tricks for cake decorating, because I know that everybody is celebrating a birthday in quarantine and you might be making your own birthday cakes. So here are some things that'll help them be extra pretty. So marzipan can be found in the baking aisle, and it's essentially a dough made out of almonds and sugar. It's really tasty on its own, or you can make it from scratch. But when it comes to cake decorating, I like getting the store-bought stuff because it's smoother and it just looks a little better. So tear off a chunk of it and put it into a Ziploc bag, or you can put gloves on. You just don't want to dye your hands. And then grab some food coloring. I have gel food coloring here, but you could also use liquid food coloring. And add a few drops. You can start with just a little bit of food coloring because you can always add more. And then just smoosh it around and knead it in so that you get the color that you're going for. This will take a couple of minutes, so I actually have some that I already dyed. So I have my marzipan here, and then you can get a rolling pin and roll it out. And you can put a piece of parchment paper on your counter if you're worried about the color getting into your counter. And if the marzipan is ever too sticky to work with, dust it with a little bit of powdered sugar. It's kind of like if you're kneading bread and it's too sticky, you add flour. With marzipan, you can add some sugar. So you can roll it out. And I'm just using one color today, but you can use as many colors as you want. And then get your cookie cutters. I have this cute letter set here. And you can stamp out your words. I'm stamping out one of my favorite words. And have a chopstick standing by to poke out the letters. This is just like playing with clay or Play-Doh. It's so easy to work with. And I have a biscuit cutter here. You can use any design you want. Just let your creativity run wild. And a great thing about marzipan is you can just stick it right on the cake. So this says Yay. Ta-da! So you can stamp out happy birthday, you can stamp out your name, you can do any words you want, and you can also use, you don't have to do the circle like I did. You could just straight up put the letters on. You just frost your cake and then stick this right on the cake. Any leftover marzipan should be stored wrapped in plastic tightly and kept in the refrigerator, and it keeps for like a good few weeks. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you have an awesome day at camp, and good luck practicing your cake decorating. Bye.
Thanks so much, Molly. Those were great tips. Buddy, you had enough time to probably make 2 or 3 more cookies, but how'd you end up in that microwave? How'd it come out?
I got it. I'm almost done. I actually, the instruction said do 1.5 minutes and then do 30-second intervals after that. So I'm just in and out of my microwave now, just kind of double checking.
All right, cool.
I think 30 more seconds and we'll be good. But that was really awesome, Molly. Thank you for that. And to Molly's point, I love marzipan. It's such a awesome medium to work with. And, you know, depending on if you do have allergies too, another good tip with that is you can use fondant, you can use gum paste, you can use pastillage, you can use modeling chocolate. Actually, for me, and this is the best part of it, right? When I learned how to decorate, going back many, many years ago, excuse me one sec, let me check on my cookies. All right, bada boom, we're done. Look at that. Perfect
Nice.
Cookie, right?
Wow.
So when I learned how to cake decorate in the late 80s, early 90s, because I'm not that old, all right? I'm only 43. I'm not like 100. But we didn't even have these mediums to work with. Like, if you would have said to me then, get fondant or get modeling chalk, I would have looked at you like you were crazy because it just didn't really exist. So I tell people all the time, this is the best time ever to be a cake decorator because we have so many different things that you can play with. Like, well, not play with, but you can make cakes look like a certain thing, right? You know, there would be no way that I could do the stuff that we've done on Cake Boss if I didn't have the mediums that we have today. So I think that a lot of times it's about having the right medium, right? Identifying what is the right medium to work with and what you feel comfortable with, right? So like you say clay, right? So you take Ralph, who works with me, who's an amazing sculptor, right? So he's not a baker. He was never trained in it. But when I gave him modeling chocolate, which is almost like a Tootsie Roll consistency, right? If you get a Tootsie Roll and you can like bend it and manipulate it, and the more, if you actually take Tootsie Roll and keep working it, it will soften up
Correctly.
because you'll activate and melt the chocolate a little bit. So he was able to take that and run with it and make it his medium and make the things that he could do with it is like mind blowing. So I think that that's really, really important. So I know everybody baked a cake, right? Or you were supposed to. So I don't know if they did their homework, Randy.
I hope so.
All right. So what I did here is I made our funfetti cake, and I basically took our vanilla cake batter and we added confetti quins to it. Now, you can add the sprinkles. I just feel like when you cut into it, the confetti quins last more. That's another baker tip, right? Actually, the quins are more money. So I'd rather put the sprinkles, but it's not always about what's the most inexpensive. It's about what's going to work best. So first thing I'm going to do, and again, if you've got no, be careful with the knives or let mom or dad help you out. But we are going to trim the top, right? So I'm just going to go and I'm using a turntable. If you don't have a turntable, you could just do it on a table. And you just see I'm just working around. Look how cool that is inside there, right? Well, that like one, look at the inside of that.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Right? So you see how those colors like really stayed and you got that really cool effect. So I think that that's fun. So everybody trim your cake. All right, I'm just gonna trim my top a little bit more. And then what happens is you put the trimmings on the side of the bench. And when we used to film Cake Boss, right, this is a part that you guys never seen. I would always throw it like off over here where you couldn't see it, right? Mm-hmm. And then the camera guy who was filming me would reach, and that was his like little snack. So, I got cake scraps. And they would say all the time, you got to start a business where you just sell cake scraps. And I would leave wedges of cake. True story. So we used to have lots of cake scraps, and it's lots of fun. So now I'm going to take a little bit of buttercream. So I have icings here too. So you can get vanilla. They got different flavors. Salted caramel here. But you can make your own. You could say to yourself, hey, I'm going to take some of this vanilla, right? Let me just open this guy up. And I'm going to put it in here. Take it all out.
So you're taking some of that Duncan Hines there and you're mixing up, you're kind of doing your own little riff on it, right?
Yeah, I'm going to put a little bit of Nutella inside. Why not, right?
Ah, nice.
Put a little Nutella. And then we're going to have a Nutella frosting, right? So I'll mix this up. Bada bing, bada boom. And then you always take a little lixie. Say, actually it's perfect. But if you want it less Nutella flavor, then you could always add more vanilla to it. If you wanted more Nutella flavor, you add more Nutella. And you swirl it inside, right? I'm just gonna plop this in here. So
you're working with that's a spatula, just a straight spatula you're working with,
This
right?
is just a straight spatula. It's nothing special. It's probably like a $6 spatula, you know, so it doesn't have to be a certain brand or a certain thing. Although Rachel's stuff is the best, I gotta say. It's my wife cooks with at home. And now I'm just going to take my other cake, my topper. I'm gonna put it over here, make a little room. Bada bing, bada boom. And I'm just gonna trim this top again.
And here's how you do it when you don't have a Lazy Susan or a turntable. There you go.
Exactly, just cut right through it. All right, and then throw that cake scrap for my camera guy.
I heard some footsteps running towards the scrap.
Oh, she's eating it right now. Literally. All right.
So I see you turned it upside down. So you went open end to open end there, right, buddy?
Good. See, I'm like the old Italian grandma that leaves out some secrets, you know? My grandmother, when she would teach how to cook, Grandma, what did you put in there? Oh, a little something. No. Yeah, I totally forgot. I'm sorry. So, yeah, always leave those two open faces kind of sandwich on top of each other. And, again, remember, the best thing you can do is almost refrigerate your cake. The colder your cake is, the more stable it will be. And again, you're already looking at it. The cake already looks square and straight and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Now, if you wanted to put some inclusions inside, if you wanted to put Oreo, if you wanted to put M&Ms, chocolate chips, sprinkles, the world is your oyster. You can have fun, right? Mm-hmm. So it's really up to you to be how creative you want to be, right? So now that we got that filled, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of the buttercream, and I have a bag. Now, I like to work with a piping bag. For me, I think that it just makes life easier to apply it onto the cake. So I'm going to put my buttercream in a piping bag. All right.
Hey, buddy, we had a question since you mentioned putting your cake in the refrigerator. Is there a technique when you put your cake in a refrigerator to avoid it, prevent it from drying out? Any tricks on that?
Okay, so technically, if you're baking a cake and you're going to use it in the same day, you don't have to worry about it drying out.
Right.
If you're baking your cake and you want to decorate it later, the best place to put it is the freezer. So I would bake the cake. I would let it cool down totally. I would saran wrap it, dump it out in a form, and then stick it in the freezer. Now, people have a misconception about frozen cakes. Out of anything that you can freeze, cakes are the best thing because it's like a sponge. So all the water molecules will freeze inside, and then when it actually thaws back out, those molecules get released back into the sponge. Sometimes the cakes are more moist after they're frozen.
Wow.
Than if you were to just leave it. The place it's going to dry the worst is if you take it and you put it on your counter. That's where it's going to dry the fastest and the most. So you always want to either freeze it, or if you're going to use it the same day, just to give it a little stability, you can put it in the refrigerator. At the bakery here, we always use frozen. So we put it in the frozen, we bake the cakes, we put it in the freezer, and then the next day we'll pull it out, we'll cut it, we'll fill it, we'll ice it, we'll decorate it.
Wow, then, who knew? Great tip.
Yeah, no, that's a good tip. So
that's cool.
All right, so now you got your pastry bag, turntable. The most important tool in the decorator's arsenal is a turntable. If you notice, I put my cake exactly center in the turntable because when I decorate, whether I'm decorating with a pastry bag or I'm decorating with a knife, I'm not going to ice the cake like this. I'm going to actually spin the turntable and just hold my knife like a machine. Just think I'm saying machine because my machine does it like this. And then I would put my spatula and I just hold it there. But I will get a perfect up and down finish by doing that. It's not me going like this where I'm trying to decorate it and go around it. And the same thing comes with piping. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on one end. I'm going to start with pressure. So again, I always tell people use the shore sign with a piping bag. So use a shore sign, wrap it, keep these fingers tight, and then go like this. We're going to squeeze and go around, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to put enough icing, too. You could always take it off with the spatula, but if you have to add it back on, that's when you're going to get crumbs. Now, another trick for people who don't ice cakes often, ice the cake, put it in the refrigerator, let it get hard because the buttercream will get hard. Pull it back out. You can add more buttercream. They call that a crumb coat, right? So you can just keep adding layers until you get that perfectly smooth. And you can even use the knife where you have hot water and you're using hot water on that cold buttercream. Because again, buttercream is butter, right? So if you put butter in the refrigerator, what happens? It's like a brick. So it's kind of the same thing with cake, with buttercream.
Hey, buddy, I know this might be a tough question for you to answer, but Allie and Gabby, sisters in Brooklyn, New York, if you had to estimate how many cakes you have iced so far in your life, is it even possible?
Wow. It would be very hard to quantify that, but hundreds of thousands.
Okay.
Hundreds of thousands. I mean, and honestly, I could give you this tutorial today. You could read books. You can watch YouTube videos. The best practice is to make 1,000 cakes. When you've made it and you've made a cake again and again and again and again, then you get into that muscle memory. When I make a cake, it's like me breathing. I don't even think about it. It's a reaction, right? So that's how you really get good at anything. You really have to create that muscle memory and be able to do it, So now that we have our icing on the cake, I mean, my dad would tell me, if the cake looks good before you even put a knife to it, it almost already looks finished, right? Look at it, see? So that you guys can see it. It's going to be easier for it to be finished 100%. Now, we're going to start to spread the icing. And we're going to gently, we're going to gently start. But we're going to spin, spin, spin. And I'm going to bring the knife down a little. And less is more until you get what you need. So I'm just going to keep spinning. I'm going to keep spinning. I'm going to keep spinning. And I just have that angle, right? And I'm just going back and forth. Spin, spin, spin. Okay. So that's the top. Now we get the side. And then whoever doesn't have a turntable, Uncle Randy said he's buying them for everybody online.
I've got mine right here. This guy's about 35 years old. Love it.
That's it. So again, now look, same thing. As you can see, I'm not taking off a lot of icing. I am just gently spreading the icing around so that it's nice and even. And I'm angling my knife to the bottom to get the bottom and to the top to get the top. So I'm just, I always angle my knife and I'm going to put a little bit of pressure either way. So I'm just going to keep going around. Bada bing, bada boom. Okay. Now, I'm going to
go have lunch.
Yeah, bye-bye. See you later. No, I'm kidding.
While you're doing that, let me give a
grab a scissor.
Special shout out to Nathan is celebrating his 10th birthday. He's doing a virtual birthday party. He's got friends cooking all over, not all together, but they're all watching the Cake Boss make these cakes. Nathan, happy 10th birthday to you. I hope that you have a great celebration. Next year, you'll be able to have everybody in your kitchen, and maybe you guys will make some cakes. So happy birthday, Nathan.
All right. So I'm going to utilize my Duncan Hines box here and make a little cardboard comb. Should work.
So a little trick of the trade here, huh? So cardboard?
Well, I like poster board. So if you have poster board at home, that's essentially what I like to use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this. Now I have about the size I want, and then I'm going to go really, really, really tight, and I'm going to try to get a nice smooth. So I'm going to feel it with my finger and make sure it's nice and smooth. Okay?
Yeah.
And I'm going to use this guy like a comb here.
Oh, that's a great trick. Wow.
See how smooth that is now?
That's cool.
And then
all
I'm
right.
gonna just
yeah, we're just getting reconnecting that video there for a second. And while we're doing that, let me give a nice shout out to Ethan and Hannah in Toronto who are cooking along with us. Ethan and Hannah, thanks for joining us at camp today. Let's jump back to Buddy.
Now that we got our cake, there's certain things you can do with your knife to make this cake right? So we have the swirl, we have the spank, we have the chop. What do you want to see, Randy? Well, you tell me.
Let's go with, you know what? I want it to be your choice, buddy. I got to be honest.
No, Randy, we're doing this together. You want the spank? You want the chop?
All right, you know what? I'd like to see a chop.
You want to see the chop? All right. So this is the chop, right? So you take your knife, you keep it here, and you chop.
Wow.
And then you chop on the sides, chop, all the way around.
Love that. That's very cool.
Right? But now if you want to add a swirl to the chop, right, Randy, then you go like this. Woo. All right?
Something tells me you've had a lot of fun in that bakery, buddy, over the years.
I have a lot of fun.
How many times has your wife called and said, buddy, come home already?
Yeah, no, you know what? that's the thing is, and two, that's very, very important. I'm glad that you mentioned that. You know, in life, when you find your dream job, when you find the thing that you love to do, that you're passionate about, that you really enjoy, well, then that's when you, I think, can really excel. If I didn't love what I do today and now, after all these years, I would never be where I am in life, you know? And you know, that's a really important thing, kids. Like, you know, I know it's, you know, what do I want to do when I get older? And you might have, you know, when you're younger, you might have certain dreams, and then as you get older, they might change. But whatever it is that you do, you definitely have to love what you do, because if you don't love what you do, you're not going to have fun. You hear me making these noises and stuff when I'm chopping at the cake? Well, in my mind, that's my fun. It's my game. It's me playing what I do and having a lot of fun with it. So just to give you some ideas of what you could do on a cake. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pipe some borders, right? Because I think that'll look cool, right, Rand?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm just going to do little swirls, right? So I'm going to just keep spinning and do like a little loop right on the edge. And if you notice when I do that, I'm not going around the cake. I'm letting the cake come to me. I'm putting the rosette in the same exact position every single time, which will make for a perfect top.
Wow. Oh, love that. That's cool.
Right? So then, you know, we can do that. And you got to see Rachel. I taught her how to do this.
Listen, I remember that. I think it may have been a 500-pound burger cake you made for Burger Bash for Rachel
I do
Ray's
remember that.
10th anniversary. I was on stage there when they were trying to hoist that on. It was not easy. All hands on deck.
I remember that. Well, I got to tell you, too, I love Food and Wine. Every year, South Beach Food and Wine is just an amazing job. Lee and Food Network and everybody who's affiliated with that, it is just such a fun time. It's such a learning experience. It's such a great way to get out there. And, you know, for me, the best is hanging out with all my friends.
Yeah.
Together with all the chefs. And we try to do a lot of good there. So we can't wait for this year.
Yeah, and you're so gracious with your time. It's always great to see you on the beach.
Got it. All right, so now I'm just going to do another border on the bottom. So I'm just going to do a little loop-de-loop here.
What piping tip are you using for that technique, buddy?
This is like a number 826 star.
Okay.
Right? So now I think we're going to do some sprinkles on the side. I like some sprinkles. Right, so, or maybe, yeah, let's put some sprinkles on the sides. I like sprinkles. Who likes sprinkles out there? All you guys like sprinkles? All right, another major thing that I'm going to let you guys into that all bakers in America know. Sprinkles and polka dots is God's cover-up. So if you make a cake and there's like a big gaping hole on it, you can throw sprinkles in it and nobody will ever know. Or you can put a big polka dot on it. You cut out a fondant polka dot, it's all forgiven. Nobody sees anything. So that's my little tip for sprinkles and polka dots. And then here, maybe we'll take some of this raspberry here. All right? Do we have, what do we got here? I got a little parchment paper. I got a scissor. So I'm gonna cut this. So I have a little bit of parchment paper here, which everybody has at home.
Could you sub wax paper if you only have wax paper, buddy?
You could use wax paper, but the parchment paper is definitely easier.
Okay.
Okay, so I take this, right? I make like a triangle, and I hold the triangle down, and I put my left hand center of the triangle, and I take my right hand, and I twist it in. I take my other hand and I twist it this way, and then I have a pencil or a makeshift piping bag. So now I'm just going to take this here, and I'm going to take some of this raspberry. Who doesn't like raspberry? I think it'll look cool with the sprinkles. All right. We get a little bit more, bada bing, bada boom. You got any more questions for me, Randy, or no?
Yeah, well, you know, there was a very cool question that came in. Somebody asked about, David in Fort Lauderdale asked about a whale cake that you made.
Oh.
He wanted to know how many hours it took to make that cake. And then he threw you a big congratulations on your jawbreaker technique that you used for that texture.
The dinosaur cake. Well, he definitely watched the season of Buddy vs. Stuff, which was a lot of fun to do. And I got to tell you, that whale cake and the dinosaur cake were my two favorite cakes out of the whole season.
Wow.
The whale cake was just amazing, you know, and to see that thing can't come to life. That cake had to be like 16, 18 foot long. It weighed over a ton. And, you know, the dinosaur cake with the gumball design, I mean, the gumball. So what we did is we took this dinosaur, we put buttercream, and we laid all these different sized gumballs right into the buttercream. Then we covered it with fondant to make like a bumpy, scaly, dinosaur-ish back. It worked like a charm. So those are two of my favorite cakes I ever done. They definitely go up there. Transformers is another one that we did. So I'm gonna make these like little raspberry dots on each dollop here. And then actually the life size of my wife was another one of my favorites because, you know, it was just special and it was her. So that was a lot of fun to make. So we got some little dots there. And then I'm going to just do a little swirly inside here.
Mia, who's 9 years old from San Diego, says, you know, you're making a lot of desserts, but when it comes to eating, what's your favorite dessert to eat?
Depends. Listen, I definitely eat more desserts than I should. I love it. And just to give you a little look at what that is.
That's cool.
You know?
Love that.
But my favorite dessert to eat, for my bakery would be, pastry-wise, would be my lobster tail. You know, but we've been testing pie recipes because we're getting ready for the holidays and stuff. So I've been eating a lot of apple, pecan, and pumpkin pies too. Like, I know it seems weird because it's, you know, August, but we're always ahead of kind of what we're developing and what we're going to come out with. So, you know, right now I've been on a kick with that. I feel like I've eaten way too much pie, but I love it.
I love pie. Who doesn't love pie?
No, I love it too. It's great stuff. Now I'm going to take some of these M&Ms, I think, and I'm just going to, you know, put them on top as well. So we can, you know, mix up the colors so that we have some fun with it, you know, and then, you know, we go around and you can make it whatever you like. There's really no wrong. What do you want to use? What do you want to play with? What do you have in your kitchen? Is it candy? Is it, you know, something that you really want to put inside, whether it be a flavor profile or to decorate with? You know, there's really no limits anymore on what we can do with cake. And, you know, the most important thing to me is have fun. The most important thing to me is believe in yourself. You know, do what you love. You gotta find that inner, you know, thing that makes you happy. Like, I'm excited about this cake because it's fun, and that's just, you know, who I am and what I love to do. You know, and being a kid and stuff, I think that, you know, it could be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, it seems to me like you started off by saying that baking is such a science and you have to be really careful on your measurements. But then when you get past the foundation, which is the cake itself, then all the areas of gray come in, all the color, all the creativity comes in. So if you learn the skill of baking the cake, the rest is all about creativity.
It's 100%. It's all about creativity. It's all about fun. It's all about, you know, just letting your imagination run wild. You know, it's funny. I'm doing another show in a couple of weeks, and my thought process is when I do a show that has to do with cakes, a lot of times I dream them up in my car. So like I'm driving to work, and I'm thinking of, you know, what is it going to look like? How big is it going to be? What are the mechanics behind it? What are we going to build it out of? How is it going to be this and how is it going to be that? And you're so focused and you can dream it up. Sometimes I drive past the exit to work. I'm like, oh my God, where the hell am I? Because I'm so into it. You know, you become so passionate about it. And that's really, you know, you kids out there, you guys, you're the future, right? You guys are the next cake bosses or the next Rachel Ray's or Bobby Flay's or Guy Fieri's or Giada's or whoever you're going to be, right? But it's what you want to do with life. It's what you believe in yourself, finding that niche that you love and then attacking it and having fun with it. You know what I'm trying to say?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So when do you know when your cake's done? You just kind of, you got to feel, right?
You keep going, you know, until you're like, hey, is there anything else I want to do and stuff like that? I think this cake looks pretty much done. I mean, you know, we could keep adding. What do you think, Rand? How did I do?
I got to tell you something. I think it is already a masterpiece, buddy. I mean, maybe if I was there with you, I might play around a little bit and you probably slap my hand, but no, I think it looks pretty darn good there.
No, you know what I would do to you? I'd ask you to smell it and maybe I'd stick your face in it.
And I think I would fall for it too.
I think you would. I think I might be able to get someone. I think we can maybe see if we can get someone to fall for it.
I want to see if we do that.
All right. See, my camera person is going to grab someone.
Oh, I love that.
All right, but now listen, this is you know, this is our little secret, and that's the kid inside of me. So you got to have fun with it. And who doesn't love cake, right? That's what's in their face a little bit.
That's one way. To eat it.
All right, now I'm gonna. You guys, this is gonna be quiet, so I'm gonna have to act, and this is gonna be fun. So we're gonna get him. We're gonna get him to smell it. So what?
Oh, I love this.
I'm gonna tell him that the raspberry's bad. I'm gonna say, did you smell that raspberry? Smell the raspberry. It smells good. So when he goes to smell it,
all right,
he's going down for the count.
Don't forget about house rules, campers. If this is not part of the rules in your house,
buddy. Do not blame Uncle Buddy. It's not his fault. If anybody's, Uncle Randy's idea. Then you gave me this raspberry, and it's no good. Did you leave it out? Did you put it in the refrigerator?
Oh, no.
Did you? No, but is it good or bad? Would you give me bad?
It's fantastic.
Are you sure it's good? The people, they got to eat it. Do you want them to eat it? Smell it. You tell me if it's bad. Thanks, Vin. I appreciate it.
You're a good sport, Vinny. Buddy, that's awesome. Dude, that is the perfect way to end this session. What a great day. We're in camp. It's all about having fun. You showed us that it's not only about passion, but it's about your love of the game, enjoying life to its fullest. It's so clear that you're having a blast in there. God bless you for everything you do and for being such a great friend of ours. And that cake, magnificent. I'm sure somebody will continue to eat it. And buddy, thanks so much, man. It really, really was a blast to be with you.
Thank you, guys. Such a pleasure, guys. Bye-bye, Randy. Love you, Rachel. Bye-bye.
Thank you, brother. Okay, wow. That was the quintessential way to end that class. Caught me off guard, but I think that's really the lesson in almost everything that we have as a takeaway in camp. Cooking is fun. It's about passion. It's about creativity. It's about pushing the boundaries, and it's about opening up your mind. But what Buddy said at the outset, it's also about dreaming. So all you have to have is big dreams, and then you have to believe in yourself that you can reach those dreams. And I think Buddy is a perfect role model for exactly what that looks like on the other side. And I want you guys to have a great rest of your day. We hope to see you back tomorrow.